Okay, everybody. Many thanks for joining us today. As I will be repeating myself a little bit. My name's Philip Jarman. I'm co-founder and COO of Seso Global. We really appreciate your attendance today on this webinar. I'll provide you with a little bit more detail on myself and Seso throughout the course of the webinar. But today's webinar is maybe the third in a series of webinars that we've put on that really aims to instill a greater sense of trust within the Nigeria property market space and the property management process. Today we'll be focusing on the future of property management in Nigeria. So the purpose of today is to inform those interested in investing in this space that through technology, buyers and property developers can better access the services they need to transact, manage and maintain their property portfolio. So the future of property management in Nigeria. We hope it's going to be a really informative session. Just an overview of the structure. We've done my introduction. I'll then move on to introducing the panelists. I'll give an overview of what we do at Seso. Then I'll pass over to the panelists so we can discuss their business. And please, any audience questions, please complete it in the little form below, and we'll absolutely endeavour to answer those questions. So, no further ado. Once again, Philip Jarman, I'll be moderator and speaker today. A little bit on me. Before co-founding Seso with my business partner, Daniel Block, I spent 7 years working in finance for UBS Wealth Management in the City of London. Here I helped generate bespoke investment strategies for ultra-high net worth African-based clients. So that gave me a great insight into the region. As mentioned, this experience helped me develop an extensive business network. I then did my MBA at Imperial College and co-founded Seso on August 3rd, 2017. So coming up to 3 years. Next, we're really delighted to have Nahel Jamrakani, who is co-founder and CTO at Greenkey Facility Management Services. Having worked in engineering, manufacturing, and solar energy, Nahel moved to Nigeria in 2018 to pursue his passion for automation, entrepreneurship, and technology. Greenkey Facility Management Services is a tech-driven facilities management service provider that was established in 2015. The company has over 450,000 square meters of residential and commercial properties in its portfolio. He holds a bachelor's degree in engineering as well as a master's in sustainable buildings from University of Toronto. So super pleased to have Nahel. Next, absolute pleasure to have Lukman Edu, who is Chief Visionary Officer and MD of Filmo Realty, which is parent company of Filmo Facilities Management, a leading real estate service and Proptech company in Nigeria. He has experience in business strategy, performance management, and financial modeling, and has been leading Filmo Realty with his team of millennials since 2015. He holds a BSc in Applied Business Management from Imperial, an MSc in Global Management from LSE, a certificate in finance from the European School of Economics, and is currently doing postgrad work at MIT on business analytics. So welcome, Lukman. Stella Ukuzo, who is Head of Personal and Business Banking of FCMB Bank UK. As Head of Personal and Business Banking for a Bank of England approved role, Stella built FCMB Bank UK's retail banking business from a concept in 2018 to a now thriving business division of the banks, providing boutique UK banking services to businesses and high net worth individuals. As head of marketing for the bank, she leads the brand positioning, partnership management, and social media and advertising content for the bank. She has a passion for entrepreneurship development and has led product development and business growth across multi-bank financial institutions. So super pleased to have Stella. Thank you so much for joining us today. Last but by no means least, we have Ibrahim Babalola, who is co-founder and CEO of Muster. Ibrahim co-founded and is obviously CEO of Africa's first shared housing marketplace, Muster. Through tech, he's making living in Africa easy by unlocking available rooms in crowded cities and turning empty buildings into cash flow. Prior to Muster, Ibrahim commands a broad professional experience from working across commercial banking, software as a service, human capital management, and investment banking as a sub-Saharan Africa-focused investment analyst and real estate lead in Nigeria and the UK. So welcome all of our panelists today. Thank you so much for joining us, and we look forward to their contributions shortly. So quickly moving on, I'll now provide an overview of what we do at Ceso with a focus on Ceso CRM, as this very much falls in line with the theme of today's webinar. So what I will be covering, what problem we're solving, the Ceso marketplace, the Ceso property developer CRM, and why we are here. Okay, so what problem are we solving? We've all heard horror stories of people buying land in emerging markets, maybe in West Africa, only to find out that the person selling it had no right to sell it in the first place. So buying property in emerging markets can be costly and confusing. As such, before an individual embarks on the transaction, they need to understand, is the property developer legitimate? Do they have the right to sell the land? Was the property built properly? And is the property bankable? Can they secure lending against it? All these questions need answering if a buyer is to proceed with a transaction with faith in the transaction process. So at Ceso, we believe that by having a single technology platform that connects buyers with trusted properties and service providers, they will have the necessary support to proceed with buying that dream home with trust. Therefore, Ceso sets out to support both the buyer and the property developer. And this is how we do that. Let's talk about the Ceso marketplace. How do we support the buyer? It's very simple. On our marketplace, Ceso, we sell properties and property-related services. So as a buyer, you can come onto the Ceso marketplace and search for a property you like. But you can also access the other services you need to buy a property with trust, such as law firms to do the necessary due diligence. You can hire facilities management companies, such as Greenkey, to maintain your property in your absence. And you can also access finance through one of our partner banks. So we've created a one-stop shop for property transactions through our unique ecosystem of services. So it's the trust factor that we really want to solve. We see there's a huge opportunity. Very quick run through of the customer journey. As a buyer, you come onto the Ceso marketplace where we list properties. This is our landing page. I've already put Lagos as the city I want to search property in. So you put in your preferred suburb and your budget. Property such as this may appear. You can select into the property that you want to do, and you have a number of options. You can schedule a tour. You can send us a question and find out more about the property. However, you can also request a service and you can request a mortgage. So just to illustrate that a little further, you can request a service from one of our law firms. You can buy insurance. You can instruct property management, such as Greenkey. And you can also request a mortgage from one of our partner banks, such as FCMB UK. Oh, it's now jumping over a little bit. So as mentioned earlier, we've created what we call a one-stop shop for property transactions through our unique ecosystem of services. Along with the marketplace, we've also built out a data management portal for our property developers to use. This is an idea of the dashboard that you get for our that we've built for our property developers. This portal can be used by property developers, real estate agents, and other similar entities looking to improve the management of their property data. So for example, if you want to build affordable housing, you would need a tech solution. We'd love to talk to you. This is the dashboard where you can instantaneously access data on your properties, such as your leads, your hot leads, where those leads are coming from, a breakdown of your property listing. So we can provide you with instant access to any data point you want to see on the dashboard. The Ceso CRM does many other things. The whole point is that we can digitize the management of your property data. So we can digitally hold your property ownership documents. You can upload properties from this portal directly onto the Ceso marketplace. You can obviously manage and store your leads. We can build in additional functions should the property developer request them. So as much as possible is digitally managed. Okay, so in terms of our business model, we are B2B2C. So we offer a unique end-to-end portal for the entire property acquisition life cycle, from documentation management to property sales. It's worth noting here that for important data such as property ownership documentation, we do use blockchain technology to add to the security. So that's really where we're using technology to shore up property management in West Africa. The Ceso CRM, as mentioned, leads directly onto the marketplace where people can buy properties and access to property-related services. So through this process, property developers can better digitize their ownership data. Buyers can better access that data and secure properties, and professional service providers can better access that data for checking for transaction purposes. So the business model is B2B2C. Why are we here? We're here to solve the trust issue. We want to contribute towards solving that issue. As mentioned earlier, we believe that by having a single tech platform that connects buyers with trusted properties and service providers, they will have the necessary support to proceed with buying that dream home with trust. This is the process that through this process, we can unleash buyer spending power. So there's greater liquidity in the system. So many thanks for listening to me. At this point, I will quickly reintroduce Nehal, who, just as a reminder, is Chief Technology Officer of Greenkey Facility Management Services. And Nehal, if you can unmute, I will, if you can keep it to 5 minutes, I'll ask you 2 questions. If you could provide an overview of Greenkey and how is your business aiding property management in Nigeria?
Okay, can you guys hear me?
Oh, yes.
Okay, thanks, Philip. So I'm honored to be a part of this distinguished panel. Thanks to Ceso for organizing and bringing all of us together. Thanks to Filmo, Muster, and FCMB for also participating. I'll be very brief because I prefer to go with more of an interactive session. So to give you an idea of Greenkey, we were founded in 2015. We're a facility management service provider, and our clients cut across both B2B as well as the retail market. And currently our portfolio is about 45,000 square meter of managed space. And as a facility management service provider, from the day we were founded, we've built our business on a few principles. And one of the first principles is technology. So we believe very strongly that, there's a lot of hype around fintech and different applications of technology and startups in Africa. And property management is an untapped market. So where we actually utilize technology within our business is we've created our own more or less digital facility management tool, and it allows our clients to, first of all, control their costs, and most importantly, improve performance across their properties. So in most cases, our clients may not own a single property, they may own multiple. And the features that they're able to utilize with our Smart Hub system include tracking of budgets, so cost is a key factor, time, service delivery of maintenance requests, or any preventive maintenance that needs to be conducted on the property, and then finally the quality. So any of the requests that come up on the property for our clients, they're able to actually rate the jobs accordingly. Then Philip, if you just switch over.
Yeah.
But the aspect that we're most excited about here is around Internet of Things. So I'm really curious to hear from the audience, how familiar you guys are with the concept of Internet of Things. But essentially, what we do is monitor any kind of asset within the facility that gives you data to actually manage a property better. So, for example, in all our time within FM, we recognize that power is a key aspect for most of our clients. usually 50 to 60% of the costs within a facility are related to power. So being able to track the status of whether it's a generator or your power consumption, and looking for ways to reduce the consumption of power within the facility. We also monitor things like fire. So if there's any smoke detection systems in the building, oftentimes the response to the actual incident may be slow. So by having our sensors enabled online or internet enabled, we're able to have our teams act much quicker, as opposed to having the regular smoke detection sensors. And in a lot of cases, we find that by monitoring the different parameters in the facility, our clients are able to reduce their costs anywhere from 50 to 30% on that. So as I said, just very briefly, very brief about Greenkey. We can move on and look forward to answering any questions you guys have about either the smart monitoring or our smart ops application.
So Nahal, thank you so much for that the overview there. Quickly moving on, we now have Lokman Edu, who is Chief Visionary Officer of Filmo Realty. And again, Lokman, if I would pose two questions to you. Overview of Filmo Realty would be amazing. And how is your business aiding property management in Nigeria?
Thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Absolutely.
Okay, hi. So my name is Lokman Edu. I am Chief Visionary Officer and Managing Director of Filmo Realty, which is a parent company of Fillmore Realty, Fillmore Facilities, and Fillmore Development. So obviously I'm here talking on behalf of Fillmore Facility Management. So we're a 25-year-old company. I am second generation owner of Fillmore. And over the years, we currently have over 20 different clients and currently operating in 13 states of Nigeria. We don't outsource any of our technical services, so we have over 100 plus full-time technicians that work for Fillmore. Why we do that is because obviously we want to control the quality of service that we deliver. Can you click on, please?
Absolutely.
So what differentiates us and what's given us the massive growth in the space is our application of technology and data in our day-to-day operations. And through this, we're able to convert conventional real estate to smart homes and smart offices. Can you go on, please? So yes, we like Nihil, we're very, very data driven and very, very technology driven, where we just invested in our control room, in our head office, where we're able to monitor things like the first service performance on a second by second basis, technicians performance. We're able to look at operating costs. We are now integrating with IoT so that we're putting sensors in generators, water pressure, things for security, energy performance and such. And all of this is obviously aggregating data so that we can eventually go into things like predictive analytics and data analytics to optimize the level of service that we're able to provide. So we're not just looking at service from a human perspective, but we've now actually evolved to also look at service performance and delivery and operations optimizations from a data perspective. Can you go on, please? So again, I said we do have a control room. So all our operations are monitored by a control room. That's the service performance, operating costs, tenant experience. All of these are monitored from the control room. And as I said, on that level of that, our data analysts are analyzing the data and providing solutions and providing ways for us to optimize our existing operations. Go on, please. So yeah, so part of the evolution of Fillmore Facilities is that we have also gone retail with our business. So because of the number of sites and the number of sites we have spread across, especially Lagos, and because we have so many technicians, we're able to now basically create clusters of teams across Nigeria, across Lagos. So that we're able to, and because of the technology, we're able to monitor operations remotely. We're able to have teams closer to homes, so that we can respond faster and also be able to manage smaller units, so like apartments, single apartments and single homes. Sort of what we do with we do that with Muster, as we are another major Proptech companies in Nigeria. So we are able to take our services that we provide at the higher H&I level, and also provide that service to single homes or single apartments. Go on. So that's our website, filmorefacilities.com. So next slide, please. So I talked a little bit about our retail side of our business. So we do have our retail product, which is Resido. So that's our total home management product, which we just launched. So what Resido is our subscription-based service where you can pay 6,000 naira a month. That's the lower price, and you're able to get access to our teams, which is you'll get access to a Resido manager who manages the work, all work at your home, helps you pay your subscriptions like your internet, your DSTV, and also manage any third-party vendors. So essentially go into this total home management thing. So they're obviously integrated with, that's also linked to our remote teams I talked about, the cluster teams that we keep in different locations like VI, Ikoyi, Lekki, across, as I said, we focus mostly in Lagos. And the idea then is that it's a 24/7 service. You get access to our technology, which is an interface for our client, and whatever services you require, we can deliver it to you in 20 minutes. And what I think is interesting and unique to us, that we're not a marketplace. So from a security aspect, we're not trying to connect you to technicians in the space. It's our technicians that were verified, that were trained and such. We also obviously have put in a COVID-19 precautions. And obviously with things like IoTs, we can also reduce the number of site visits that are necessary. So we're working on that now, especially with the whole COVID-19 pandemic, to be able to even want to develop more and monitoring things like generators, power, water pressure and stuff from remotely from our headquarters, so that people don't actually have to come to your sites as much. So I said we started a subscription at 6,000 a month, and you can find out more information on that on the website resido.ng. So next slide. So one of the newest subsidiaries under the Fillmore Realty is called PropLab Africa. So PropLab Africa is our technology arm that builds B2B technology solutions for the Proptech space. And we work with Proptech companies, and we're building a community of Proptech companies, Proptech businesses, and investors. We are in collaboration with Microsoft, so we work with Microsoft, especially on the data analysis and the data visualization section. If you go to our website, PropLab Africa, you get more information about that. But our first product we built is called Farm Facility Intelligence. This is actually the technology that Fillmore Facility runs on, but we've now commercialized it so other companies can actually get a hold of the service, so that they can get a hold of the application without taking the Fillmore service. And what that does is that you're able to manage your own properties, help you reduce your own maintenance costs, energy costs. It comes with the IoTs, monitor your technicians, and also your vendors' performance and costs. You get access to our vendor directory, so you're seeing, you can see how your vendors compare to other vendors that are rated by people in the market. As I said, it comes with our data analysts, so meaning that we're able to provide data analysis to help you optimize your own sites, and essentially help you convert your own buildings to become smart with simple IoTs and our application, which doesn't cost much. I think that's it. So so I said we're quite a busy team, but I've given you the technology side.
Lachlan, thank you so much for that. That's really appreciated. Now, I think what we're going to be doing now is we're going to stop sharing the screen so we can actually see people. And we now have, I believe, hello everybody, we are here. Stella, who is head of this banking at FCMB Bank UK. It would be great to get an overview of the bank, your activities at the bank, and obviously how the business is aiding property management in Nigeria. I know there's a really interesting tech story there.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you, Philip. Thank you, Seso Global, for the opportunity, and many thanks also to the panelists and of course our audience. FCMB Bank UK is a UK registered and authorized bank, but which is actually owned by a Nigerian banking group. So it's owned by the First City Monument Group. Now, how do we differ from your regular high street banks? It's just the fact that we are Africa focused, and we are proud to be. So what we do as a business is to provide UK banking services to African entrepreneurs, professionals, and businesses right from the City of London. We have a liaison office in Lagos, so that means we can reach you easily. And of course, we work the parent bank's network. So if you were in Abuja or wherever, there would be an FCMB Nigeria branch through which we can reach you. And that really is a unique proposition. You probably ask, why am I here? And which is related to his question as to how are we assisting the property management industry in Nigeria. Now, Nigeria remains our primary market in Africa. And our flagship lending product is our buy-to-let proposition, which enables people in Nigeria to buy property in the UK. But on the flip side, we're happy to say that for UK residents who own investment property, we can provide funding for you to buy property in Nigeria. So what it is, when you talk about property management, there is no property to manage if the property doesn't exist. So how we support that ecosystem is by providing the funding for the acquisition of those properties, and also participating in a network like this. So we believe in helping businesses grow. And oftentimes what we actually do is refer customers to our partners. So that's how we provide a pipeline to customers in Nigeria who may want to access customers they may ordinarily not have access to. And we're very proud of that, being Africa focused in the City of London.
Fantastic. Stella, thank you so much for that. And Stella is a regular of ours when attending Ceso webinars. So thank you very much for that. Last but no ways least, Ibrahim, co-founder and CEO of Muster. Overview of Muster, that would be fantastic. And how is the business aiding property management in Nigeria?
Thank you very much, Philip. Hi, everyone. Glad to be here. Muster addresses the massive urbanization trend in Africa's major cities, that is increasingly affecting the housing shortage for particularly for young people, right? So we've built a business that has enabled young people in Nigerian mega cities to have access to affordable housing, and as well made living in Nigeria more affordable and available by first automating the entire process of finding and moving into a home and living in a home, introducing monthly payments, enabling safe co-living, digitizing flexible rental contracts such that subscribers aren't now locked in 1 year, 2 years lease, but they can now subscribe to short-term, 3 months, 6 months subscriptions, as well as automating payments through direct debits from subscribers and settling the host, and turning empty unoptimized buildings into cash flow. Now, by automating the entire process, people are able to find and move into a Muster home in less than 24 hours in cities where it typically takes between 15 to 23 weeks to find homes. So you can see the difference between a Muster and the regular process. Interestingly, the federal government of Nigeria has recently partnered with Muster, and they would now be introducing monthly payments on all the federal government buildings and estates in the country. Now, what we've done in terms of like property management, so you can't manage an unoptimized building efficiently, right? So what we've done is to build a massive community of subscribers that plug into our host network of homes, right? We built an eligibility algorithm that checks each individual's ability to pay the rental amount. And in 2019, we had a 0% default payment, and you can imagine what that means for all the hosts that are making money on the properties on Muster. With partnerships with companies like Filmo, we're able to manage the experience end to end. So from the beginning where you land on Muster and you create an account, to moving into a home up until living in the home, right? Partnerships with companies like Filmo enables us to continuously manage the properties even during the lifespan of the subscription, right? We have entirely changed what it means to live in Nigeria, and now subscribers in the master community are living better, right? But as we go on to the conversation, I'll be able to talk more on what master is doing and how we're doing a lot of things. You know, like Nahil, I would rather the conversation be more interactive than just like speaking to the screen.
Okay, many thanks for that overview, Ibrahim. And let's hit the questions. Okay, so we've got a couple of questions coming in. So first of all, Nahil and Luckman, we have a question from Boo. Do any of the management companies take on individual privately owned homes and apartments? So Nahil, do you want to start with that?
Yeah, I mean, the short answer is yes, we do. However, based on our current portfolio, we usually prefer to work with property owners who have, a larger portfolio, especially around when we start to talk about smart monitoring and IoTs. Luckman has already mentioned a few of the examples that were actually rolled out around generator monitoring, monitoring your water pressure, the quality of the water going to the flat. So really, I mean, our goal is to elevate the maintenance culture in Nigeria, and how we intend on doing that is through technology, right? So if we're looking at individual flats, the value may not be there. So the property owner might be better off going with a more kind of retail facility manager. We usually deal with, kind of larger properties. Yeah.
Okay.
I think we're more into that then, because I think I talked about Resido. So Resido is a product we built specifically for individual homes and the individual apartments. So as I said, how that works is you pay a retainer starting from about 6,000 naira a month, and what that gives you access to is a full-time team of 24/7 team of electrician, plumbers, generator maintenance, carpenters, AC maintenance and such. So it will be the cluster team closest to the home that would be managing your home, and you get a client manager that would be your interface. So again, using technology, using data, but I guess that what is different is that we now have these cluster teams. So we then manage homes. We can manage homes as with the same quality of service that we would manage B2B or a bigger property. We can now provide that, aggregating homes in a certain area and then providing services to homes in that radius as if it was one client. So yeah, it's a new thing of us, but that's just check out resido.ng and you can find out more information about that.
Okay, fantastic. Many thanks for that. And Ibrahim, if I may, one of the things that Ceso has found recently, particularly in light of the challenges around COVID, is that we've had a real uptick towards virtual tours.
Mm-hmm.
So what's been your experience in this? Can you facilitate it, etc.?
So one of the ways that we reacted to the coronavirus was to go 100% contactless, right?
Okay.
So what it meant was that even the tours of the homes during the subscription process became virtual, right? So we enabled this through through live videos and pre-recorded videos, right? One of the things that we explored using software like Matterport to do like 3D renderings, but we also saw, because of the internet speed and quality in Nigeria, it made the process very difficult, right? So what we then did was to redesign the process such that when you're booking to tour a home or to go for a viewing, right, it automatically creates a Zoom meeting link between the subscriber and the host for the scheduled time. Now, at the time where you scheduled for your viewing, you just log on to Zoom, right, and the host is on the other side, or the property manager is on the other side to give you a tour of the home. Now, in situations where there's like a timing conflict, you're able to then watch a pre-recorded video of the entire home. So from the entrance up until the shared areas, the rooms, and so that's what we thought was gonna be. We thought was gonna be challenging, but people caught on to it, and people. I see that this actually should have been the norm because it's easier.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a similar experience that that we've had, particularly with our diaspora clients. We've been able to facilitate very effective virtual tours when they're buying off plan. We've been able to show them through video recorded as well as virtual the progressive build that they're essentially buying, that they're investing in. So we also have a question in for Stella. What's the advantage of having a tenant occupied property when taking a mortgage? So that's from Babajide.
Okay. To be honest, the thing is to always remember your objective. For this is a mortgage situation where you're buying to invest. Now, you would have put your equity contribution and the bank has provided the balance. But for you as the investor, the sooner you can begin to see those revenue streams, the better, because those are what will determine what your actual yield is, from the acquisition. Sometimes people get a bit emotional, but the fact that you want to get a property for investment, which is where location is key, and which is why I find the whole Proptech conversation very interesting and very relevant to investors. Because in essence, what you're doing, the properties are set apart from the norm. It's going to attract a certain kind of tenant. It actually increases the value of the property, which is beneficial both to the lender and to you, the owner of the property. And so if there's a tenant in situ, you can begin to earn your money from the beginning, which is fantastic. Now, in some situations, not exactly ours, from the lender's perspective, the fact that there is an in situ tenant, the risk profile is actually reduced because you don't have to put in your own money. The bank is assured of immediate payments come 30 days of disbursing the mortgage. So it's a win-win for everyone. And it just speaks to the primary objective of the acquisition, which is investment.
Yeah, absolutely. And from our position, FCMB are to be hugely complimented on their efforts to innovate in this space, particularly when it comes to leveraging UK assets to buy abroad. So everybody is more transactions in this space. Sorry, Ibrahim.
I just wanted to follow up with Stella. What we've seen in the last 12 months is a lot of Nigerian banks putting their repossessed assets on master, right?
Very interesting.
We've seen a lot of Nigerian banks putting their repossessed assets on master, and then it makes a lot of investment sense for them because now when you're offering it to investors that are buying it, particularly for rental income, you're saying to them that, listen, when you make this investment, you start earning your rental income from day one because they're already subscribed to by joining the master community. Now that we have it here, maybe we're gonna add FCMB to the network of banks that have.
By all means, I'm gonna add you, whether or not you add me. But you make a very
well, we have a number of
and just
I was
to add
going to say sorry, 1 second, to add to what he's just said is the fact that usually when banks are selling property for repossession, you are buying just to cover the outstanding amount in the bank's books. And so you probably be buying below market. The rule number one really in property investment is that you buy at the point of purchase. So that's an excellent proposition right there.
And just to add, right, I'm a fan of companies like Muster and companies in that space because they also apply a lot of data analytics to being able to characterize or democratize the kind of client or the kind of tenant should be assigned to the kind of property. I find that really interesting. Where I think that Muster brought it up, where they have like a 0% default, which is incredible for Nigeria. And another thing you mentioned, I think it's about 90%, 95% occupied in all the properties on the Muster platform. And we're talking about hundreds and hundreds of units at any one time. So the ability to be able to use data analytics to be able to match properties with people I think it's a huge game changer for people trying to invest and buy properties, because you can almost guarantee the income you would make in renting the property in Nigeria, which I think it's a real game changer.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, using data to basically effectively profile prospective clients. So we have a question from Babatunde. How do you verify tradespeople who are maintaining property? Ibrahim, do you want to do that one?
So I think that question would actually be for Lukman and Nahil. So I think it's around how do you verify your technicians?
How do we verify technicians? Is that what?
Yeah, the tradespeople. Yeah.
Yes.
The quality.
Okay,
so I can just jump in here. So I mean, it's similar to Lukman. I mean, when we started the business, we recognized that unfortunately the maintenance culture here is really, really poor. You have a lot of tradespeople who are highly specialized in one specific trade, right? So we've had to just essentially hire our own technicians and slowly invest in a lot of time and financial resources in training them, and training them on the proper way to do things, the proper way to do the maintenance. And this is where also technology comes in. So when you have ability to actually read through sensors your key utilities or your key aspects within your facility, and explain to the technicians what are the parameters that they're reading. So if they're reading the right parameters, whether it's voltage, amps, for your average engineer, this is just daily talk, but for the layman, it might not seem so important. But really going back to first principles, going back to the basics and explaining to them, okay, this is what voltage actually means, this is what amperage actually means, and then building it from the ground up, as opposed to going around and actually getting experienced technicians. We've found that it's the only way to do it. You get young people who are hungry to learn, and invest a lot of time, a lot of financial resources in training them, and then using the technologies to monitor their progress and monitor their performance. That's what we've been able to do. And just piggybacking off the last comment, I think the standard or the expectations of tenants in Nigeria is slowly increasing, especially as the middle class grows, and you have more diaspora coming back, whether they're retired or they're sending their children back for working reasons. So as these expectations elevate, there's a gap, there's a need for a certain level of standard, a certain level of service. I'm sure most people here, if you fly around Africa, you go to places like Kenya, places like Rwanda, South Africa. I was in South Africa back in January, and I could not believe what I was seeing. I mean, the standard of building, the standard of maintenance there is just incredible. And, we're passionate about bringing that level, bringing that standard here to Nigeria. And it's very possible, it's very doable, and we strongly believe it's going to happen. It's just going to take time.
Okay, fantastic.
And just as I said, just to add on to him, he's absolutely right. One Nahil said that I learned the very, very hard way that training. So I think I mentioned before that Fillmore, especially the technical services, we learned that we couldn't outsource them. That Nahil knows that our businesses are exposed at the bottom end, where me and Nahil are sitting in our offices, and it's the technicians that are interacting with our clients. They're the ones that are representing our companies. So we learned the hard way that we had to take that burden and invest. So and I'm 33 years old. I run one of the largest FM companies in Nigeria, and I learned that too. That most of my technicians are all under 34, 35. Same as my facility managers. That Nigeria, as Nahil pointed out, it's unfortunate, but then the culture for maintenance and the culture for hospitality hasn't been something that has grown or has evolved like in other countries around the world. So it's better to take people younger and mold them to the standard that you want them to be. So we invested in getting people young. I mean, most of my technicians have been with me for the last 5, 7, 8 years. And apart from now, the investing, so we do a lot of training. Meaning I think about 20 hours a year per technician. Apart from that, the other part that's helped us is our application, VAM Facility Intelligence, which Fillmore uses. And what we've been able to do there from a data perspective is that we'll be able to build profiles of our technicians, meaning that I can look at the technician's reaction time, technician service delivery time, look at the kind of jobs that technicians are doing, and what is the tenants, what are peer-to-peer ratings on those kind of jobs per technician, so that we can also always make sure that our performance is standardized. I'll make sure there's a ceiling to the standard of technicians we keep in our portfolio at any one time. So I think it's both a training, but also a data answer to that question, where there's training. Obviously, in recruitment, there's a lot of verification. I know there's companies out there that focus on verifying artisans and stuff like that. So verifying who you're bringing in the first place, but then training, investing them, but also putting the technology to be able to monitor them on a real-time basis, and also investing a lot into peer-to-peer ratings. So looking at customer satisfaction and stuff like that, to make sure that
you're using technology to benchmark, basically.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the last thing was that what we've also done is that we're now building a global directory. So if a technician is registered in our platform, no matter where that technician goes, we're able to track and see and keep that log of work he's done in the past. Even if
so there's an audit trail, essentially.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things that Ceso's really focused on in the past is trying to drill into that diaspora market. We're aware that it's a big market. There's a lot of opportunities there, particularly in the UK and the US. So selling properties into those markets. And look, we're just referring back to the point you made about and Nahil about standards. We have a question from Joseph. Can I monitor the maintenance and upkeep of my property from the UK? How is that easily done online? That would be great if you could shed some light on that.
100%. As I said, right now we currently do manage a lot of properties for a lot of HNIs, especially, and people that live abroad. We're doing some work with the properties in Lakaway Lakes. That's mixed up, and those are investment properties that are based in Lagos. But a lot of the homeowners actually live in America and England. And what we can do is that we can provide dashboards. As I said, we provide a client manager. We provide dashboards. That's giving the client an interface of our solution, VAMP FI. So they're seeing what's happening on their properties. Obviously, we create, we send routine. We develop routine and reactive procedures to manage the property. So it's a mixture of giving you that client relationship manager, but at the same time, giving you the dashboard to be able to monitor what's going on your site. And again, with Nahil said, with IoTs, you can see we can provide a level of security where you can get alerts when someone goes into your property and things like that, or when things are turned on via our dashboard. So those are the interesting things that we're working with. And we are actually working with Nahil on some of those kind of things.
Fantastic.
So,
Great.
If I can just add, okay, go ahead, Ibrahim.
Ibrahim?
I wanted to speak on the experience from the other side of the table, particularly from my companies or my business interaction with Lukman's business, right? So we have a ton of homes on Master, right? And a large amount of them are managed by Fillmore. So what we have with Fillmore is an SLA for a lot of different things. So we say, okay, this is the amount of time it will take if there's a plumbing issue, or if there's an electricity issue, or if there's a whatever issue. Now on the back end, on the VAMP FI portal, we're able to monitor when a service request was raised and how long it took the technician or plumber to fix the issue, and then you'll be able to see if it meets the agreed SLA time. So for the person who's asking the question and living abroad, I guess we companies like Lukman's businesses and Nahil's businesses, right, where they're tech enabled, so you can sit in the comfort of your home in London, in Birmingham, wherever you live in the UK, and monitor how long it takes from when a service request is raised to when it's fixed, and then you can use that to evaluate the relationship and if you need to continue the relationship with the facility management company. Do you get what I mean?
And the tenant rating, where the tenant rates, we provide all that. We're very transparent, where we provide all that data to the client to see what the tenant satisfaction is on the property. But back to you now.
Yeah, I'd just like to add as well, I put myself in the shoes of somebody who's living abroad and has a property in Nigeria. What's the alternative? You can hire somebody here to manage your property, but the aspect of transparency, and specifically around the area of cost, is a key consideration. We're in a price sensitive market, so people don't want to pay, might not want to pay for the service. But ultimately, if you're getting bills from your facility manager and they're based on paper, the question of transparency and the question of integrity of those bills might start to come up if you're sitting halfway across the world. Whereas if you have access to that information, our Smart Ops app also has a very deep detail in terms of costing and budgeting and creating budgets for preventive maintenance, for reactive maintenance, and then triggering. So whenever you go above your budget, it kind of sends alerts and just allows the property owner to have peace of mind that they're not overspending on their property.
Okay. Sorry.
I was going to add that in addition to what Nahil has said and everybody else about the value to the owner of the property in the UK or in the diaspora, also the flip side, Lagos Business School did a survey and a study, and they state that as of 2020, which is now, they believe 50% of Nigeria's workforce is millennials. And those millennials have peculiarities. They have certain needs, especially technology. So they are more aware. They've learned from mistakes their previous generations have. They're highly mobile. So the fact that you're able to provide a property for a certain kind of emerging market in Nigeria, you're really positioning yourself right at the right time. Otherwise, it's one thing to have a property, but then the future, are they willing to take your kind of property without those benefits which they expect?
I personally think that's an absolutely fantastic point. It's one of the reasons why we're in this space. Average age in Nigeria is 18. Everyone is growing up being used to using technology, interacting with technology. Not only does that age mean that people are using technology, there is a population that growing that all have a real estate need. So I think this space is prime for disruption. And on that note, we have a really interesting question from Damilola with IoT, which touches on actually security. So with Damilola, IoT smart homes, there is a lot of data involved. The issue of data management is a hugely debated topic. How are you managing people's data, even as they engage with you digitally? Really, really interesting question. Thank you for that. Who wants to take that first? Ibrahim, can I deal with you?
I think that's the Nahil question.
Okay, Nahil.
Because that's mostly on about IoTs. I can take it too, but then I'll throw it at Nahil first.
How are we managing people's data? It's a good question. I guess it's aimed around the area of security.
Yeah.
To be honest, I'm not sure how to answer that.
I think let me try. From outside, I'll talk about. I think it's firstly about what data we're taking. That's the first part. So are we invading anyone's privacy and things like that?
No,
and the answer is no. That on the first level side, what data are we talking about? We're talking about requests for changing of lights or when generators break down. So we're not. And then when it comes to IoT sensors, we were very, very careful about that. Where
there's no cameras. Yeah,
exactly.
No cameras. No. Yeah.
I mean, the most from our side, the most evasive, and it's an option. most of our sensors are on the external side of the properties, not internally. So we're not actually operating inside the homes, where we're working on generators and water pressures and stuff like that. So what's the information that people do not generally feel are invading their privacy. But on our side, we're also, I mean, internally, I guess the only IoTs that we might work with are maybe heat sensors to work with things like energy efficiency and stuff like that. But again, it's not. But that's an option. So I guess that I think the most important part is letting people know what we're doing and giving people options to decide if they want that and what's the benefit, but what information that we're actually collecting. So so I know that it was a big discussion in our meetings when we were developing this tool, and we talked about, obviously, even if we were doing heat sensors, maybe heat sensors in public areas like sitting rooms, to connect to the ACs in communal areas. But these are options. So and obviously it's about transparency and being very upfront to the client before you go on.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so we have another question from Zainab. What is the short let market like in Nigeria? And are diaspora investors taking advantage of this at this time? If I could add a penny to my thoughts on this one, what we've experienced at Ceso is there is an opportunity to invest in investment properties, particularly in light of the Naira depreciation against major currency, which is obviously flown on the back of the oil price depreciation, which basically that big asset purchases such as properties have decreased by 20 to 25% if you're dealing in Naira. We do certain rentals, but Ibrahim, shall I pass this one over to you? The short-term let market in Nigeria, and are diaspora investors taking advantage of this at this time?
It's definitely an interesting space. So it depends on what short what short term means.
Maybe sub 3 months.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So 3 months falls into like master's purview, right? So we've seen a lot of people in the diaspora actually buy properties and put on master because they understand that it's almost a guarantee. It's almost a guaranteed income. The occupancy rate is very high. There are controls to make sure that the payment doesn't fail. You know, we have partnerships to ensure that the integrity of the building remains, with a partnership with facility management companies like Filmo and Nihil's business. We have insurance partners, Allianz Insurance, that does home contents insurance to ensure that everything inside the home are insured and covered by insurance against theft, fire, flood, accidental damage, and. So we've seen, particularly because you guys have spoken about the largest subset of the population being young, mobile, upwardly mobile professionals, right? We've seen an increasing need for shorter term subscriptions, so shorter term leases, so 3 months, so 6 months, and right. In terms of like the daily short let market, I assume very, very, very hugely that the coronavirus and the impact of the COVID-19 would have had a very adverse effect on that space in terms of like short let. And you can see the impact of that on, say, Airbnb numbers.
Absolutely. I was going to mention Airbnb. I think Airbnb have seriously suffered because of what's happening.
But when you're thinking about short term without being short let, then there's a huge opportunity, right? Particularly from the highest or the largest subset of the population, and you can also explore using the network for the communities of businesses such as Master and similar business, of course.
Okay, so look, we've had a really interesting. So just in terms of the audience, as you may be able to see, we have gone past 4 p.m., but the questions keep on coming. So let's see if we can address a couple more. We've had a really interesting question from Zomo. Is there any automation system for the valuation market to enable interested investors to assess the value of properties in various areas, to determine investment potential of various areas and asset classes. So I suppose then that's obviously to a certain degree it's a data question, but for those really interested in the the data analytics and the collecting of data, do we have any such automated system, whether that be covering commercial, residential, or or rental? It's something that I hear a lot from developers and real estate agents, that there does need to be some type of model that can more accurately provide not just valuations but also rental yield calculations. So I'll just put that out there to the group.
So in terms of data on valuation by area or rental yield by area, the Local's business Estate Intel does very solid work in terms of gathering the data and putting it together So you can check out Estate Intel. I know that there was a company called Zama that was also working on something very similar to like the Zoopla of Africa. So you can check out Zama as well. But I'm very certain about Estate Intel and the depth of the data that they have in terms of valuation and rental yields and in the location based. Yeah.
Shout out to Estate Intel. I'm also a big fan and supporter of Estate Intel. So yeah, so the person asked that question. Estate Intel will be a place to start. Good place to start. I don't have shares in Estate Intel, by the way. I'm just a big fan.
Okay. I mean, look, my view on this is that I think that there needs to be obviously a decent data set and enough transactions that people can get access to in order to benchmark, in order to come up with some type of accurate formula. So look, we have a really interesting question to Filmo and Greenkey, whether they have done FM services for healthcare facilities and what's been their experience. What are the opportunities outside of residential?
We have in the past. We did one major hospital quite a few years back. But I'll be very honest, we do not have. That's not our expertise.
Okay.
Our focus has been commercial and residential properties. I'm not sure. We have done some base camps and stuff like that in Port Harcourt, but when it comes to the expertise needed to manage assets for hospitals, I know that there's some companies like Alpha Mead and stuff that do have set up an arm for healthcare management, but we're not there yet. We want to focus where we're good at, where we know we can provide value, which is
yeah, likewise.
Okay.
Likewise.
So look, we have a couple more questions. One from Cheyenne here. What tech innovations lie at the heart of the future of property management? I know that we've spoken a lot about big data, big data being collected from IoT. Will that develop? And also, can we just outline how technology can be used to instill a greater sense of trust within the process? Because for us, that's really something that's very important to Ceso, and we think that because there's been such a trust deficit in the market, it can't all be done through tech at the moment. There still needs to be, particularly when selling a property, some real world interaction with a buyer. So it'd be really good to see to take your views on what tech innovations will develop in the future. Will it be more of the same, or will anything new come through?
Ibrahim, do you want to handle that?
Sure. I'm happy to go first. So I think that with everything with the entire broader economy, right, is increasingly becoming tech dependent, and it will be the same thing in this segment of the market as well. A couple years ago, it would be crazy for anybody to think that you can find and move into a home in a completely automated process in 24 hours.
Absolutely.
Crazy for anybody to think that you can debit directly from a customer's account and settle into the landlord's account it would be crazy for anybody to think that you can remotely deactivate someone's access to a property just because their payments failed. Do you get what I mean? And that's what we are. We're monitoring technicians from a control room in Fillmore's office. We are, do you get what I mean? We are, and that's where we are, where through tech, we have data on that data on demand, and what type of properties people are looking for, which is now informing what developers are building, because we're collecting the data on what they should be building, how they should be building, where they should be building, right? Tech has also enabled us to now have rental history, right?
Yeah.
So collecting data on the last places where people have lived and why they left, and right. We have the data on payments behaviors, payments behavior in terms of like short-term subscriptions, which can now be transferable to be able to make mortgage and other lending facility decisions, right? And that's where we are today. So you can now imagine where we'll be in 18 months.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll grow this by 10 times multiples. So obviously there's going to be a lot of improvements, right? And what we're going to see is a larger adoption of the technological improvement and advancement. Clearly now the largest suppliers of the market are more traditional landlords and more traditional homeowners, who this whole like tech and techie goes over their head. So in the next couple months, years, we're gonna see a larger adoption as that software on the market starts to embrace more technology, and as the middle-aged people start to own more properties.
And to add to that, and I think that Ibrahim was bang on. I think that one of the challenges, as I said, me, Ibrahim, Nayo, it's not a coincidence that three of us are I don't know how old Ibrahim is, but then are probably under, and Nayo has white hair, but we're all, I think I could predict less than 40. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm on the border. I know I look younger, but that's because I've got.
I didn't put your name in there. I just mentioned Nahil and Ibrahim.
I'm probably the youngest.
So yeah,
there's nothing that IoT can do to make me younger. That's
nothing.
Yeah, Nahil's trying to look older. Real estate has been a very slow adopter of technology. Obviously, it's most people's biggest investment. There's a high capital to go into it, so there has been this very big barrier for younger people to get into that space. And obviously, at the same time, technology is driven by the millennials, people like us. So as more of the service space is being managed or being managed, so as more people like me and Nahil and Ibrahim are getting into real estate, more younger people coming in, people that understand the tech, I think that we would see more growth in the technology speed. So I think that's where the biggest barrier is in technology adaptation, where more, as you said, now more younger people are getting, more people in the millennial space are taking a bigger majority of the workspace. They're owning more properties. They're becoming landlords and stuff like that. So the adaptation, the understanding of tech, the need for tech, and the use of tech will all grow as that all grows. So I think it's a generational thing, and our generation is taking up a bigger majority, bigger market space when it comes to the leasing, when it comes to the management, and with that comes the technology.
Yeah, and it's also going to be driven by the tenants, the actual consumer of the experience, which is living the home, which are getting younger. So ultimately, for any of our listeners here, let's say where you live, they usually tell you, okay, your rent is X and then plus service charge. And I think most, probably 90% of properties around Nigeria, when you say service charge, nobody has any idea what they're paying for. So when you talk about technology and transparency, it's so key. It's so key. You need to understand, okay, I'm paying, let's say, hypothetically, #1 million a year on my service charge. Where is that going?
Yeah, so, absolutely. Yeah.
Our tech, Filmo's tech, it's already there. We can tell you exactly, out of your #1 million, this percentage is going to power, this percentage is going to your air conditioning, your water, whatever it is. So having that transparency, ultimately, people are demanding it right now. So the future is not really that far away, where tech just completely dominates real estate. And I made a comment when we first started. There's so much hype on fintech, but there's so much opportunity in other areas for technology. I mean, you look at places like China. China is investing $440 billion a year in R&D research. That's the same as the entire Europe. I mean, what are we doing in Nigeria, right? So private sector is pushing it out. There's a lot of opportunity in tech within real estate, and companies like us are going to dominate as time progresses, and we hope to be the leaders in the space in the coming years.
Okay, guys. So look, we're coming up to 4:15. We sort of pushed our luck a little bit on the time, but we still have 72 people present. So many thanks for remaining. Look, obviously, as was mentioned earlier, the short-term rental market, big companies such as Airbnb have been affected by by the corona. We have mentioned it in this talk. It's very much a real business issue that everybody has to contend with. But I would like to end on a high note. Where do you see the major growth areas within the real estate space in Nigeria? I mean, we have spoke about the population growth. That's going to stay the same. Urbanization, that will continue. So yeah, if we could have a penny for everyone's thoughts. My personal view is, I think more money will come in from the diaspora into this space. I mean, Ceso sells to both local markets and diaspora markets. PwC recently conducted a survey estimating that around $24 billion worth of remittances sent in. We want to into Nigeria every year. We want to encourage that money to be spent in real estate. There are really exciting developments occurring. For example, Lekki Free Zone near the Dangote refinery. So if we could have a quick roundup from everybody, where do you see the real growth areas and the opportunities?
I think that there's going to be an increasing involvement from diaspora, particularly as asset prices continue to dip on the back of the currency devaluation. And what like real time, so it becomes cheaper to acquire these assets. So we'll begin to see more involvement from people in diaspora markets, right? And as well as the advancements in the tech and what the tech means. But in terms of growth, I think that there's going to be a huge play in one beds and two beds development. Now more than ever, property developers are realizing that there is no business need or case for family units where they're building 3 beds and 4 beds and 5 beds, particularly because the largest subset of the population either cannot afford that much space or do not require that much space. So we're going to see a lot of activity in the 1 beds and 2 beds at most, but a lot of activity in like the 1 beds and the studio space, and that's where I expect a lot of investment in the market. So to go. We're going to see a lot of activity in terms of facility management as well. So you see increasing businesses for the Fillmores and the Greenkeys, particularly because they've also redesigned their business model such that you don't have to be an HNI to have a facility manager. And I guess maybe that's the tagline. Anyway, I'll stop there.
I think that I'll start off there, where firstly, I think that there's one big challenge when it comes to especially the development side. There's a huge lag time between supply and demand, where we talk about, yes, the 1 bedrooms, the 2 bedrooms, huge demand there, but how long does it take for a new development to come up? It takes on average in Nigeria 18 months or so for a new development to be developed. So really what we're saying is that whatever the economic factors we see now, we're going to see the result of that in about 18 months when the spurge in 1 bedrooms and 2 bedrooms come up. So I think that in the short term, we'll see a lot of repurposing. So repurposing of homes, and that's on the residential side. So seeing more of shared apartments and stuff like that come up. But on the commercial side, I was actually talking to Estate Intel actually about the co-working space. We've seen before, pre-COVID, there was a huge growth in co-working spaces in Nigeria, and I was wondering, and I asked them what was the effect of COVID, and what he told me, and what we're expecting is that yes, obviously offices still need office space, but people are going to be demanding or asking for a lot less because people realize that people can work from home. And when it comes to the co-working space, there's going to have to be an adaptation where we're going to see more fixed desks and more fixed spaces and less shared spaces, where houses and homes will be repurposed, but people will still want their private spaces for obviously because of the whole COVID issue. On our area, me and Nahil, I think we are strategically positioned where remote management would be key, where less contact service would be of interest to the market, not just Nigeria but around the world. I think that's it. So I think that there is going to be a demand. So I think where it's going to be hit the most is the sales, where people are going to be needed. There's still going to be a sales market, but people are going to requiring less amount of footprint or less amount of space. But and the co-working space is going to have to readapt themselves.
Yeah,
but as I said, maintenance is always going to be needed, especially at that lower scale market.
Thank
you, Lachlan. Nahel, do you want to one final thought?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with my colleagues here. Ultimately, I think people don't really appreciate the actual demand for your one-two beds as opposed to what's currently available in the market. You know, most people, the business model for family homes is dwindling. I mean, ultimately, there's a lot of young professionals that will require kind of the smaller space. And then as their companies are adopting more work from home policies, they're gonna, require to have nicer spaces. So yeah, that would be just my 2 cents.
Fantastic. So Stella, I'm really pleased you're able to join us back. I understand you had some slight connection issues there, but we're just leaving it on, where do people see major growth areas in real estate, major innovations, maybe in financing coming from banks? I don't know. It would be great to get your final thoughts on that.
Yeah, I think technology really responds to changes in the market. And so we find that people are more mobile. So technology is going to be driving banking, borderless banking, is a thing that is expected, especially with a large millennium population. So I think we're already on the right path, and I think it's going to be even more so. Even the whole customer acquisition experience.
Yeah.
And I see an aggregation of parties. So this is an ecosystem. I see that happening on technology platforms. So you go on the bank, you see a Filmo on your banking portal. That's the way, that's the future, convergence and
absolutely. A lot of interoperability there as well, I imagine. So look, first of all, panelists, many thanks for joining us today. Really, really appreciated. We've gone over the allotted time and still have a number of people listening to us, which that's always a good sign. Just to remind everybody that today we were talking about the future of property management in Nigeria, the future of property management in Nigeria. So the purpose of today was to inform those interested in investing in this space that through technology, buyers and property developers can better access the services they need to transact, manage, and maintain their property portfolio. It's a fascinating place. Nigeria is a fascinating country. Lagos is incredible. We all have a passion for it. Please, if any of this has interested you, please do get in contact with us. And on that note, once again, I'd like to thank everybody for joining. I bid you a wonderful afternoon. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.